Well, guys, I hate to say it, but once again, we are reporting on some bad news in futsal at the national level. And it comes from a country we just reported some good news on, so it's particularly heartbreaking for me to deliver this when just 2 months ago, we were talking about a heartwarming story out of Wales, particularly in Wrexham, where Ryan Reynolds had donated money to a local youth academy with FC United of Wrexham to support their club, which included buying jerseys for the boys. And they, in turn, actually showed Deadpool logos in their new kit in support of Ryan Reynolds for his contribution and paying it forward. Now, just 2 months later, we're reading through some stories breaking the news that the FA of Wales, the Football Association of Wales, has unceremoniously axed futsal from their programs. What has made this so frustrating and has called the FA disrespectful.
Well, that's the story of my life. No respect
from its futsal participants is the fact that no one was notified that futsal was going away. It sounds from the articles that the coaching staff was unaware, the players were definitely unaware, and it reeks of the same cancellation that was seen in the neighboring country of England just back during COVID when their FA canceled the futsal programs overnight, which was much more scandalous at the time because lots of sponsorship money that was involved in the growth of futsal at that time also appeared to mysteriously be unaccounted for. No one could point to where that money went or who benefited from it or why it was canceled in the first place when they were in the middle of a major qualification for a major tournament. Same thing here. The FA of Wales canceled their futsal program, their men's senior squad, before they were able to qualify for the World Cup. Now, what's interesting about this is it seems that the players were watching the draw for the World Cup qualifiers, and that is when they realized that Wales had not been submitted as a country to participate in the World Cup qualifiers to earn their spot in 2024. And that was when they realized that they no longer had a home in futsal at a national level. A couple of news articles have been out on this. You guys can find news articles in the description below. I read an article from BBC Wales that was pretty biased towards the players and had their feelings. And then I also read an article from the Cardiff Journal, which shed a little more light on what's really going on in Wales with their futsal program. Now, when you read the article from the BBC, Chief Executive Noel Mooney from the Football Association of Wales has said that it is the FA's goal to let futsal grow domestically before they focus on the international level. So that makes sense, right? I mean, you have to have a program domestically that can foster your players and keep them healthy so that they can be competitive at an international level. To me, that makes sense. But when you read on, it actually states that there is an existing futsal league in Wales and it has been around for a long time. So I dug a little deeper because even though the league wasn't named in the BBC article, I was able to find in the Cardiff Journal that the futsal league in Wales is called the FAW Elite Futsal League. It is comprised of two divisions, a north and a south, to cut down on travel, and the winners of each division would face each other eventually in a championship match. But as it turns out, like all sports in the world, during COVID, they were hindered, and with a lot of dysfunction and unorganized planning coming out of that, teams were afraid they would not have gameplay going into the 2021 season and left the Wales League for England, where they knew they could get games and participate in a league. What's even more interesting is that it appears that a couple of teams that are still in Wales and still playing domestic futsal are interested in helping rebuild the domestic game to a level that the Wales FA may decide it's worth bringing back and justifying that national team. Let me read you this quote. This quote comes from Ralph Carter. He is the Newport United head coach. Currently, futsal in Wales is in a dying state, but I want to help fix it. It took me a few days, a few posts on social media, and we already have 7 teams only for the South who want to play next season. We can provide the foundations, but the FAW must provide the organization. Clubs need to have a clear calendar to know when to prepare, assemble players, and plan the season. We need a futsal coordinator and a committee of representatives for several clubs to work together at FAW. So very interesting comments coming from some folks that aren't maybe as quite as emotionally invested as the players were in the article with BBC, that have pointed out that, yes, we understand that our league is on a downturn. We understand that it has room for improvement. But on the other hand, as you read into both articles, it's very clear that the futsal community in Wales expects the Football Association to support them. It brings up a question we've posed several times on this channel, and I ask you guys again to sound off in the comments and let us know what you think and where you side on this debate. Is it up to the football associations of our countries to provide a sustainable growth strategy for futsal, or is it up to us, the existing futsal fans, to prove that there is a demand, to prove that our sport is sustainable, to force an FA to continue to grow the sport, because it's obviously a logical step for improvement? You guys know how I feel on the channel here. I always say that it is up to us as the futsal fans to control our own destiny. If we continue to sit around and wait for someone else to do it for us, it's not going to happen. So as much as I applaud the folks in Wales that were noted in this article that want to grow the sport, I think that I would encourage them not to wait for the FA to set up these standards, to set up these clear schedules and calendars. We see it here in the United States. There is a clear dysfunction still to be fixed in our leagues here that I see mirrored in what's going on in Wales right now. There needs to be more clarity. There needs to be better organization, and there needs to be more communication from the local leaders in futsal to build a league correctly. If they want to bring back their national team, they need to take destiny into their own hands and build the sport outright. Go find those sponsors that will help us and believe in us, and go find those players and volunteers and people that will help us grow the sport in a grassroots way and allow people to become fanatical about the sport of futsal in the way that it's captured the hearts of some people who follow this channel. More to come, I'm sure, on countries and what is going on with their futsal programs. I am so tired of delivering you guys bad news, so I think the next couple videos that we do here on the channel will be focusing on growth in futsal, because there is some positive things going on in the world of futsal. Unfortunately, the light has been shined brightest on the countries that are struggling. But let me hear what you guys have to say in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on where growth should be in futsal and where it needs to be directed from and who's responsible. And in the meantime, until I hear from you in the comments, don't forget to play with your soul.